The East India Company, a presentation by Ethan Siegel and Erica Swoboda.
The East India Company, commonly known as the John Company, was founded on New Year's Eve in the year 1600 and based in London, England. Originally, it was developed with the intention of establishing trade with the East Indies. The charter was granted by Queen Elizabeth I. This was the first joint stock company with limited liability for both herself and their stockholders. There were originally 125 shareholders with a combined invested sum of £72,000. The first governor of the company was Sir Thomas Smythe, and with this, the East India Company marked the birth of the very first multinational corporation. The company would come to control 50% of the world trade through a massive naval merchant army. They would become a powerful political player and trade in a vast majority of materials such as silk, cotton, indigo, dye, salt, peppercorn, tea, coffee, and opium.
The first voyage took place in 1601 and was led by James Lancaster. This expedition was composed of 5 ships, each of which held letters of introduction from the Queen directed at the kings of the destination regions. They encountered opposition from the Dutch, who maintained most of the trade industries of the time. Then in 1608, the first trading post was established in Surat, a city along the Coromandel coast in India. This post gave the traders access to the first realm of spice trade outside the reach of the Dutch.
Later, in 1615, the first treaty with the Mughal emperor was established. This monumental treaty was achieved by Sir Thomas Roe and gave the company exclusive access to the trading posts around Surat. This was the leverage the company needed to begin waging trading wars against the Dutch and Portuguese. In 1668, the company was expanding rapidly and had trading posts in Goa, Chittagong, Bombay, Madras, and other small villages throughout India.
One of the main imports the company was known for was tea, and by 1684, the demand for tea had grown exponentially, creating a massive market for trade. The annual imports had reached over 4 million pounds and was still growing. The English were the basis for a large portion of the market, and originally they had traded silver in exchange for tea. But they feared they were allowing too much silver to leave their borders. To combat this, they began to use opium, a highly addictive drug, as a mean for trade. This would later play a large role in the opium wars between Britain and China.
As their power continued to grow, they began to run into trouble. In 1757, the Bengal emperor allowed the company too much power over the state by giving them the right to collect revenues on behalf of the emperor. They ran the empire straight into the ground. The company began to get excessive in their taxation, thinking that they could become even richer off the taxes alone. This ultimately led to the famine of 1769 to 1770, which killed off approximately 1/3 of the Bengal population.
Over the course of the next 30 years, the company was dissolved and its military assets, which were immense, were absorbed by the British Empire. Queen Victoria assumed all of the governmental responsibilities previously held by the company.
The East India Company changed the way the world thought about trade and turned Britain into a world power. The major cities of Singapore and Hong Kong were basically established through the company, and India as a country would not be nearly as powerful in industry. The locations of many original trading posts, such as Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, turned into the successful cities of today.
Overall, the company impacted the world in such a way that it was changed immensely. The world's trade industry was changed forever, and cities were established based on these trading posts. The East India Company was a huge world power in politics for many years, and its impact on society would be hard to rival.